The crimson sun of Zira cast long shadows over the ancient ruins, painting the crumbling stones in hues of blood and fire. The air was thick with the scent of dust and a hint of something metallic, possibly remnants from the bygone era of the planet's mysterious builders. Sophia, her curly brown hair whipped about by the gusty winds, gazed in awe at the towering structures that had stood the test of time and the ravages of cosmic storms. She was part of a group of teenage tourists, all hailing from different corners of the galaxy, brought together by an adventure tour that promised the experience of a lifetime. The guide, a seasoned explorer named Joran, had warned them of potential dangers, not from the environment, but from the locals, the Zarnok, a species known for their territorial nature and disdain for trespassers. As the group ventured deeper into the heart of the ruins, they stumbled upon a plaza, the stones underfoot more intricately carved than any they had encountered so far. The design seemed to pulsate with an energy, drawing Sophia closer. She reached out a hand, touching the cool surface, feeling a vibration hum through her fingertips. Without warning, the ground trembled, and the sound of cloaked figures emerging from the shadows broke the eerie silence. The Zarnok, draped in robes that blended with the stony backdrop, surrounded the tourists. Their eyes glowed with a fierce light, and their hands clutched weapons crafted from an alloy unknown to human science. Joran tried to speak, his voice calm and steady, attempting to communicate peace. But the language barrier, coupled with the Zarnok's swift and decisive movements, left no room for diplomacy. In a flash of unprovoked aggression, one of the Zarnok lunged forward, wielding a blade that shimmered with a lethal light. Sophia, too slow to react, was struck down, her scream cutting through the confusion of her friends' cries and the Zarnok's harsh, clicking commands. The other teenagers were quickly subdued, their technology ineffective against the Zarnok's unexpected assault. As they were rounded up, forced to their knees on the cold, hard ground, Sophia lay motionless, a dark stain spreading across her shirt. The Zarnok chieftain stepped forward, inspecting Sophia with a curious tilt of his head. The other Zarnok began to chatter among themselves, their tone shifting from triumph to uncertainty. They had heard legends of humans, fragile yet unpredictable beings, and the energy that seemed to emanate from Sophia's still form suggested that they might have underestimated the consequence of their attack. As the eerie glow enveloped Sophia's body, the air around her crackled with palpable energy. The Zarnok, warriors seasoned in countless battles, found themselves retreating, the alien instincts that had driven them to attack now screaming for caution. Sophia's friends, a diverse group of galactic youth, watched in a mixture of horror and awe, their bonds of panic transforming into a silent hope. Sophia's chest began to rise and fall rhythmically, her breaths deepening as the mysterious light intensified. With a sudden gasp, her eyes snapped open, no longer the soft brown they had been, but a vibrant, glowing blue that illuminated her surroundings. She sat up, her movements fluid and filled with an unfamiliar grace. The Zarnok chieftain, a being named Clarix, known among his kind for his ruthless leadership, stepped forward, his weapon raised defensively. However, his voice betrayed a hint of uncertainty as he addressed his kin in their clicking tongue, signaling them to hold their attack. Joran, the guide, cautiously approached Sophia, his experience with alien phenomena keeping his curiosity piqued despite the danger. "Sophia, can you hear me?" he asked, his tone gentle, attempting not to startle her. Sophia looked at him, her gaze piercing yet not unkind. "I can, Joran," she replied, her voice carrying a new resonance, as if the very air vibrated with her words. "But I feel different, changed somehow. What happened to me?" Before Joran could respond, Clarix intervened, his weapon now lowered, but his posture still tense. Communicating through a translation device, he spoke, his voice a harsh, electronic approximation of his natural clicks. "Human, you have been touched by the Ancient's energy. This place is sacred, forbidden to all but the chosen. You must be isolated, studied, perhaps even cleansed." Sophia stood, her newfound strength evident in her posture. I don't understand your customs or your claims of sanctity, but I know that I have been attacked unjustly, and I demand justice for myself and my friends, she declared, her words firm, leaving no room for negotiation. Clarks hesitated, his eyes shifting among his warriors who shared his confusion and fear. It was clear that the situation had escalated beyond a simple territorial skirmish. The legends of the ancients spoke of beings of immense power, capable of bending the very fabric of reality. If Sophia had indeed been chosen by such forces, the implications were beyond the understanding of even the most seasoned Zarnok lore-keepers. Sensing the shift in power, Sophia took a tentative step forward, her hands raised in a gesture of peace, yet filled with a quiet authority. Let us resolve this without further bloodshed. We are far from home, all of us, and none need die today. The standoff continued, the ruins a silent witness to this unexpected confrontation. The other human teens rallied behind Sophia, inspired by her transformation and resolve. Clarex, caught between his duties and the unknown, finally lowered his weapon completely, a sign of temporary truce. Under the alien sky, Sophia's transformation continued to bewilder both her human companions and the Zarnok warriors. As they gathered around the central plaza of the ruins, the air remained charged with a tense anticipation. Sophia stood at the forefront, her presence now more commanding than ever, radiating an energy that seemed both ancient and otherworldly. The Zarnok chieftain, Clarix, opened the dialogue, his voice still rough through the translator. Human, or whatever you have become, know this. Zira is under Zarnok protection, and the sanctity of these ruins is law. Your presence and your transformation here are not just an intrusion, but a possible prophecy foretold in our ancient texts. Sophia listened intently, her mind processing the gravity of Clark's words. I did not choose to come here to cause conflict, she responded calmly. Something beyond my understanding has happened to me. I am here now, a part of your prophecy or not, and I must understand why. Will you help me? The Zarnok warriors murmured among themselves, the idea of a prophecy involving a human unsettling to their staunch beliefs. Clarks raised a hand for silence. If what has occurred is as our legends predict, then perhaps there is a reason for your arrival and transformation. You must prove your intentions are pure. Joran stepped in, his diplomatic tone bridging the cultural divide. We propose a trial of trust. Allow us to explore these ruins under your supervision. Sophia's transformation happened here. Maybe the ruins hold answers. Clarks considered this for a moment, his gaze lingering on Sophia's glowing eyes. Finally, he nodded. It shall be so. But be warned, the secrets of the ancients are not to be trifled with. Misuse of their power could bring calamity upon us all. With an uneasy alliance formed, Sophia and her group, guided by a contingent of Zarnok warriors, began to delve deeper into the ruins. The structures around them were more than mere stone. They were conduits of an energy that seemed to hum with life, reacting to Sophia's presence. As they moved through a particularly narrow passageway, the walls lit up with intricate symbols and diagrams that pulsated with a soft light. Sophia reached out, touching the glyphs, and images flooded her mind. Visions of ancient beings wielding powers that shaped planets and stars. She staggered back, overwhelmed, her breath catching in her throat. These beings! They were creators, shapers of the cosmic threads! She gasped, sharing the revelation with her companions. The Zarnok warriors watched in awe, their ancient stories never having portrayed such vivid imagery. The texts speak of the Star Forgers, Clarks whispered, his voice a mix of reverence and fear. Beings who could manipulate the fabric of reality itself. It seems you are connected to their legacy. As they continued, the path led them to a vast chamber, at the center of which lay a dormant platform, its surface etched with the same pulsating glyphs. Sophia approached it cautiously, her senses tingling with recognition. When she placed her hands on the platform, a surge of energy shot through the chamber, illuminating every crevice with a blinding light. As the light subsided, hovering before Sophia was an apparition, a spectral figure resembling the ancient beings from her vision. The figure spoke, its voice echoing through the minds of everyone present. Chosen one, you have awakened the pathway. The fate of many worlds now rests in your newly gifted hands. As the apparition faded, the chamber fell silent, the magnitude of Sophia's destiny settling around her like a cloak. The Zarnok and humans alike looked to her, some with fear, others with hope. Sophia felt the weight of her new responsibilities pressing down on her, but within her also stirred a newfound resolve. I will learn and I will lead, not for power, but for peace, she declared, her voice echoing through the ancient hall. The journey ahead would be fraught with challenges, but Sophia was no longer just a human. She was a bridge between worlds, a bearer of cosmic potential. And with her friends and newfound allies by her side, she was ready to face whatever secrets Zira and the universe held. The revelation within the ancient chamber marked a profound shift in the dynamics among the group. Sophia, now acknowledged by the Zarnok as a being of significant cosmic potential, felt both empowered and burdened by her role. The Zarnok warriors, led by Clarks, though still wary, began to show a begrudging respect towards her, realizing that their fate might be intricately linked to this human's newfound powers. With the initial shock subsiding, Sophia focused on the immediate concern, ensuring the safety and well-being of her friends. They had been through a traumatic encounter, and while the Zarnok no longer posed a direct threat, the dangers of Zira were manifold. We need to establish a secure base, Sophia suggested, her tone authoritative yet inclusive. Somewhere we can regroup and I can explore these abilities without risk to others. Joran nodded in agreement. The eastern ledge offers natural protection and a good vantage point. We could set up camp there. He turned to Clarks. We'll need your help to ensure that the area is safe from other potential threats. Clarks, his expression unreadable, simply nodded. The change in the human girl before him was unsettling, yet he could not deny the necessity of cooperation. As they made their way to the eastern ledge, the group was ambushed by a rogue faction of Zarnok warriors, ones who rejected the ceasefire Clarks had agreed to. Their leader, a fierce commander named Vrax, viewed Sophia's powers as a threat to the Zarnok sovereignty. The ambush was swift and brutal. Vrax and his warriors attacked with a ferocity fueled by fear and defiance. Sophia reacted instinctively, her hands radiating a brilliant light as she shielded her friends from the onslaught. The energy she conjured was not merely defensive, but seemed to resonate with the very stones of Zira, causing the ground beneath the attackers to tremble and split. Caught off guard and overwhelmed by the display of power, Vrax's warriors faltered. Sophia, seizing the moment, intensified her efforts. She raised her arms, and the stones around them levitated, swirling in a dance of primordial energy before striking out at the rogue Zarnok, incapacitating them without lethal force. Vrax, stunned and defeated, lay on the ground, his eyes wide with a mixture of fear and awe. "What are you?" he gasped, his voice hoarse. "I am Sophia," she replied, her voice calm but resolute. "I am not your enemy unless you make it so. My powers are a gift from the ancients, like those your legends speak of. I seek only peace and understanding." The encounter was a turning point. Word of Sophia's abilities and her merciful handling of the ambush spread quickly among the Zarnok. Clarks, now more convinced of Sophia's sincerity and potential for peace, formally allied with her, pledging to help her understand her abilities and the history of Zira. Back at the established camp on the eastern ledge as the sun set over Zira, casting long shadows over the rugged landscape, Sophia and her friends gathered. The day had been fraught with danger, but it ended with a stronger bond formed not just among the humans, but between two peoples who had viewed each other as enemies. "We have much to learn," Sophia mused, looking out over the valley below. "About each other, about this planet, and about the ancients. But today we took a step towards something greater than any of us." Following the intense physical training, Tarkin and Miriam headed to a seminar designed for cross-cultural exchange. The Academy had organized this session to facilitate a deeper understanding between the diverse species training and studying at the Academy, including Tarkin. The room was set up like an open forum, with cadets from various Earth cultures and a few from other allied alien races. The atmosphere was charged with a mix of curiosity and tension, as many cadets were eager to share their perspectives and learn from the imposing Zrock warrior. As the seminar began, a young cadet named Haruto posed the first question to Tarkin. Lieutenant Tarkin, in many human cultures, leadership is earned through merit and the respect of peers. How is leadership determined among the Zrock? Tarkin's response was straightforward and tinged with pride. In Zrock society, leadership is claimed through strength and prowess in battle. It is our way to ensure that only the strongest guide our people. A murmur went through the room. Another cadet, Sophia, raised a hand. Do you believe this method is better than democratic selection? Tarkin's brow furrowed, and his tone was slightly defensive. It has ensured our survival for generations. The discussion grew heated as cadets debated the merits and flaws of various systems of governance, from democratic to authoritarian, each defending their cultural norms. Tarkin listened, sometimes interjecting with a sharp comment, other times quietly absorbing the human perspective. The turning point came when an alien cadet from a pacifist species, the Aloni, spoke up. Strength is not only physical, it is found in compassion, in making decisions that benefit all, not just the strong. How does your system address the needs of the weak? Tarkin was visibly unsettled by this question. He paused, searching for an answer. The strong protect the weak, he finally said, but they must also prove their worth to our society. Miriam watched Tarkin wrestle with these new ideas. She gently steered the conversation towards more neutral ground, discussing the role of cultural diversity in strengthening military strategies. Tarkin listened intently, his expression thoughtful, as cadets shared examples of how mixed perspectives had led to innovative solutions in battle scenarios. As the seminar ended, Tarkin stayed back, surrounded by a few curious cadets, including Haruto and Sophia. They spoke more informally, and Tarkin asked questions about human history, philosophy, and the arts. It was a new side of him that Miriam hadn't anticipated, one that seemed eager to understand rather than to judge. Walking back to their quarters, Miriam asked Tarkin what he thought of the discussion. It is challenging, he admitted. In Zrock culture, questioning strength is seen as weakness. Here it seems questioning is a form of strength. Miriam nodded. It's how we learn, how we grow. By challenging our beliefs, we discover new paths, perhaps better ones. Tarkin was silent for a moment before speaking. Perhaps there is strength in your ways too. Strength I have not yet fully understood. Vrax, standing at the forefront of his assembled warriors, regarded Sophia with a mixture of suspicion and reluctant curiosity. The plains around them seemed to hold their breath, the harsh winds pausing as if in anticipation of his response. After a tense moment, he gestured for her to approach, his warriors lowering their weapons but maintaining a defensive posture. As Sophia walked towards Vrax, her companions held back, giving her the space to navigate this critical conversation. You wield powers that should not belong to a human, Vrax began, his tone gruff. Why should we believe that you will not use these against us? Sophia met his gaze, her eyes reflecting the seriousness of her intentions. Because I have had the chance to retaliate, to harm, but I chose dialogue. My aim is not conquest, but coexistence. Your fears are understood, but unfounded, she replied. Sensing the need for a more profound demonstration, Sophia extended her hands, palms up, as a gesture of peace. The ground beneath them vibrated lightly, and small plants around the area grew rapidly, blooming with vibrant flowers that were not there moments before. The ancients left these powers as a legacy, perhaps for a time when unity was needed to face greater challenges ahead. Vrax watched, visibly stunned by the display. It was clear that her abilities could nurture as well as destroy. After a long pause, he signaled his men to stand down. Then show us, human Sophia. Show us these secrets of Zira you claim to be a part of. With a new, albeit shaky, truce established, Sophia led Vrax and his followers back to the ancient ruins where her transformation had begun. Along the way, she shared her journey, explaining how the energies of the planet seemed attuned to her presence, and how each challenge helped her understand the delicate balance of power she now wielded. Upon returning to the ruins, Joran, who had been studying the glyphs with the help of Clark's lore keepers, greeted them. "We've made some discoveries," Joran announced, leading the group to a secluded chamber they had uncovered. The walls were lined with intricate murals depicting the ancients and their interactions with various alien species, including the Zarnok. These murals suggest that the ancients were peacekeepers, using their powers to mediate conflicts and spread knowledge, Joran explained, pointing to a series of images showing the ancients in various acts of diplomacy and teaching. The chamber also contained a pedestal that housed an ancient artifact resembling a crystalline matrix. As Sophia approached, the artifact began to glow, resonating with her energy. She placed her hands on it, and a holographic projection illuminated the chamber, showing the star systems connected by lines of light. The ancients were not just inhabitants of Zira, they were guardians of a network of planets, Sophia said, interpreting the projection. And it seems they left behind their tools for those who could prove worthy. Vrax and his warriors looked on in awe, the reality of their heritage and Sophia's role becoming clearer. The myths they had grown up with were not just stories, they were a call to a greater purpose. With this new understanding, Vrax finally let go of his animosity. "Perhaps we were too quick to judge, too eager to defend against an unknown," he admitted, his voice carrying a new respect. "If we are to honor our ancestors, we must learn from you as well." The day ended with the setting sun casting long shadows over the ruins, now a place of learning and reconciliation. Sophia and her team, along with Vrax's followers, gathered around the ancient artifact, discussing their next steps. "We should use this knowledge, this power, for the betterment of all species on Zira and beyond," Sophia proposed. "Let this be our new mission." With the newfound alliance forged between Sophia and Vrax's faction, the group's focus shifted toward understanding and mastering the ancient powers Sophia had unwittingly tapped into. Under the guidance of Clark's and the wisdom gleaned from the ancient ruins, Sophia embarked on a deeper exploration of her abilities, which seemed inexorably linked to the very essence of Zira itself. In the heart of the ruins, where the energies were strongest, Sophia spent hours each day meditating and experimenting with her powers. The others watched, fascinated and sometimes a little apprehensive, as the ground responded to her touch, growing lush with vegetation or trembling slightly under the force of her concentration. Meanwhile, Joran and a team of Zarnok scholars pored over the murals and ancient texts, translating the stories and extracting clues about the ethics and responsibilities that came with such power. They discovered that the ancients had valued balance above all, using their abilities to maintain harmony between conflicting forces and species. As Sophia's control over her powers grew, so did her understanding of the responsibility they carried. One day, while practicing in the ruins, she managed to create a small orb of light that hovered above her palm. The light was warm and pulsing, echoing the life force of Zira itself. "See how each action affects everything around it?" Clark's explained as they observed the phenomenon. "Your power is not just a tool, but a part of the living tapestry of this universe. You must wield it with wisdom and respect." Sophia nodded, feeling the weight of his words. She learned to modulate the intensity of her powers, using them to heal a wounded plant or to gently alter the course of a small stream. Each success was a step towards becoming not just a wielder of power, but a true guardian of the balance. The training was not just about control, but also about connection. Sophia found that she could sense the life around her, from the smallest insect to the sweeping winds. This connection extended to her human friends and the Zarnok allies, fostering a deeper empathy and understanding. One evening, as the sun set in a blaze of orange and red, Sophia and her group gathered around a newly sprouted garden in the ruins. They had worked together to transform what had once been a barren patch of land into a vibrant ecosystem, a symbol of their collaborative efforts. "Look at what we've achieved together," Sophia said, her voice tinged with pride and hope. This garden isn't just a testament to my powers, but to our cooperation. We are different beings with different backgrounds, yet here we can create something beautiful together." The moment was a poignant one, bringing the group closer. Even Vrax, who had once viewed Sophia with suspicion and fear, now stood by her side, a respectful ally. The days turned into weeks, and Sophia's mastery of her powers continued to grow. But with mastery came the realization of the broader implications of her abilities. The energy of the ancients was vast, and if misused, it could cause as much harm as good. Sophia knew that the true test of her powers would not be in their strength, but in their restraint, and in the wisdom with which she wielded them. The alliance that Sophia and her team had formed with the Zarnok under the leadership of Clarks and Vrax began to reshape the dynamics on Zira. Word of Sophia's mastery over the ancient powers and the group's efforts to promote peace and balance spread across the planet, reaching the distant settlements and even the nomadic tribes that roamed the more volatile territories. As the influence of their peaceful mission expanded, so did the attention it garnered. Among those drawn to the ruins were not only seekers of knowledge and peace, but also those with less noble intentions. A faction of humans from another colony, seeing the potential in Sophia's powers for their own gain, began to infiltrate the group under the guise of eager learners. Sophia, focused on her training and the broader mission, initially welcomed the newcomers with openness, believing in the inclusivity of their cause. Among these was a charismatic leader named Arlen, who quickly gained Sophia's trust with his apparent enthusiasm and supportive gestures. However, as the weeks passed, Arlen and his group subtly began to sow dissent among the Zarnok, playing on old fears and stoking the fires of suspicion once more. They whispered rumors about Sophia's intentions and the true extent of her powers, suggesting that she might be intending to usurp Zarnok authority and take control of Zira for her own people. The seeds of discord took root quietly, and tensions began to rise once more, threatening the fragile peace that had been established. Sophia, deeply engrossed in her responsibilities, remained unaware of the growing undercurrents until a sudden and violent incident brought the brewing conflict to light. During a gathering meant to celebrate the unity between humans and Zarnok, a sudden explosion rocked the area near the newly planted gardens, causing chaos and panic among the attendees. The explosion was not lethal, but was enough to cause injury and fear. In the confusion, Arlen and his followers quickly pointed fingers at a group of Zarnok youths, accusing them of the attack as a resistance to human influence. Sophia rushed to the site, her heart sinking as she saw the damage, not just to the garden, but to the trust they had all worked so hard to build. Using her powers, she calmed the immediate area, extinguishing fires and healing those injured in the blast. Her actions quelled the physical damage, but the emotional and political damage was more difficult to mend. Clarks and Vrax, who had supported Sophia's mission wholeheartedly, now faced opposition from their own people, fueled by the manipulations of Arlen's group. It wasn't until Sophia confronted Arlen, demanding an explanation, that the full extent of the betrayal came to light. "We did what we had to do," Arlen confessed, his demeanor no longer friendly but cold and calculating. "Your powers are a threat to the real balance of power here. We cannot allow you or the Zarnok to dictate the future of this planet." The revelation was a bitter blow to Sophia, who had genuinely believed in the possibility of universal peace and understanding. She realized then that her journey would require not just the spreading of peace, but also the defense of it against those who would manipulate or destroy it for their own gain. With Arlen's motives exposed, Sophia turned to Clarks and Vrax, appealing to their shared experiences and the true enemy they now faced. "This is not just about human against Zarnok," she implored. "This is about those who want peace and those who want power at any cost. We must stand together now more than ever." As the aftershocks of Arlen's betrayal continued to resonate, Sophia and her allies faced a renewed urgency in their mission. Trust had been eroded, not just between humans and the Zarnok, but within their own ranks, and rebuilding it was paramount to the continued success of their cause. Sophia, now more cautious but still driven by her commitment to peace, doubled her efforts to reinforce the alliances that had been tested. Clarks and Vrax, still staunch in their support of Sophia despite the tensions, worked tirelessly to quell the unrest that had spread among the Zarnok. They organized meetings and discussions, bringing together leaders from various factions to openly address concerns and misconceptions about Sophia's intentions and the true nature of her powers. Meanwhile, Sophia focused on demonstrating the benefits of the ancient powers for all of Zira. She initiated projects that used her abilities to improve living conditions, restoring eroded land, purifying water sources, and revitalizing barren fields. Her actions served both as tangible proof of her good intentions and as a strategic move to win hearts and minds. As they navigated these challenges, the threat of Arlen and his followers loomed large. No longer just dissenters, they had organized into a more formidable group, seeking out ancient technology that could potentially rival Sophia's abilities. Their goal was clear: to gain enough power to challenge Sophia's influence directly. Arlen's movements were shadowy, but Joran's network of informants began to piece together their plans. They learned that Arlen aimed to find the Star Core, a mythical device believed to be capable of harnessing and amplifying the planet's energies to an unprecedented degree. If Arlen succeeded in activating the Star Core, he could potentially control Zira itself, turning its energy against Sophia and her allies. The race to find the Star Core before Arlen became a critical mission. Sophia, Clarks, Vrax, and a select team of both humans and Zarnok embarked on a journey guided by ancient maps and cryptic clues found in the ruins. Their trek took them across diverse terrains, from the crystal deserts of the north to the storm-lashed coasts of the south. Along the way, they faced not only natural hazards, but also traps left by Arlen's forces, designed to slow them down or eliminate them. Sophia's growing mastery of her powers was crucial, allowing her to detect and neutralize these threats before they could cause harm. During one such encounter, in the dense jungles of Zira's equatorial region, Sophia and her team were ambushed by a group of Arlen's mercenaries. The battle was fierce, with Sophia using her abilities to manipulate the natural elements around them, turning the very jungle into an ally. Vines ensnared weapons, and ground swallowed up foot soldiers, yet Sophia carefully avoided causing fatal harm, staying true to her principles of peace and preservation. After repelling the attack, the urgency of their mission became even clearer. "We must reach the Star Core before Arlen does," Sophia urged her team, her resolve hardening. "Not just to stop him, but to ensure that such power is never used for conquest." Their quest led them deeper into the mysteries of Zira, uncovering secrets that had been buried for millennia. Each clue brought them closer to the Star Core, but also deeper into the understanding of the ancients' true legacy, a legacy not of domination, but of stewardship and balance. The journey to the Star Core had brought Sophia and her group to the heart of Zira's oldest mountain range, the Echoing Spires. Legend had it that these towering peaks housed the energies of the ancient planet itself, a fitting place for the mythical Star Core to reside. As night fell, the group set up camp in a sheltered valley, surrounded by the towering, shadowy forms of the spires. Sophia felt the weight of the upcoming confrontation heavy on her shoulders. The night was quiet, but the tension was palpable, every sound magnifying the group's anxiety about the looming battle with Arlen. She used this time to gather her team, reinforcing their plan and preparing them mentally and emotionally for what might come. "We are not just fighting for control of a powerful artifact," Sophia reminded them, her voice steady despite the swirling emotions within. "We are fighting to protect a legacy of peace and balance. Whatever happens tomorrow, remember that we must not become what we are fighting against." Clarks and Vrax nodded, their expressions set in lines of determination. They had come to view Sophia not just as an ally, but as a leader worthy of their trust and loyalty. The group spent the night in shifts, some sleeping while others kept watch. The tranquility of the valley belied the danger that awaited, and even the stars seemed to hold their breath. As dawn approached, Sophia stood, gazing up at the starlit sky, her thoughts a mix of hope and fear. The energy within her stirred, as if sensing the proximity to the Star Core. She could feel the ancient power pulsating from the heart of the mountains, calling to her. Suddenly, The quiet of the night was shattered by an explosion. Arlen's forces had not waited for daylight. They had launched a surprise attack under the cover of darkness. The camp erupted into chaos, with Sophia's team scrambling to respond. Sophia acted instinctively, her powers flaring as she created a protective dome of energy around their camp. Shards of rock and debris ricocheted off the barrier, her focus unyielding as she shielded her friends. "Push forward!" she yelled over the noise, her voice amplified by the energy she wielded. "We must reach the star core before Arlen can use it!" The battle became a blur of motion and light. Sophia and her team advanced, countering the sophisticated weaponry and tactics of Arlen's mercenaries with the raw power of the planet itself. Sophia manipulated the Earth to disrupt their attackers' formations, while Clarks and Vrax led their warriors in a fierce melee combat. Amidst the chaos, Sophia caught sight of Arlen moving towards a narrow pass that led further up the mountain. She knew that was the path to the star core. Breaking from the main fight, she pursued him, her resolve hardening with every step. Arlen, realizing he was being followed, set a series of traps along the path, using ancient technology to create deadly obstacles. Sophia, her senses heightened by her connection to the planet, navigated these hazards with agile precision, her powers dismantling each trap before it could harm her. Finally, she confronted Arlen at the entrance to a cave, the energy emanating from within confirming that the star core lay just beyond. Arlen turned to face her, his expression one of desperation and defiance. "You won't stop me, Sophia. The power to control Zira should be in human hands, not left to chance," Arlen shouted, readying his weapon. Sophia stood firm, her energy peaking as she prepared for what might be the final confrontation. "The power of Zira belongs to no one, Arlen. It is a gift, meant to maintain balance, not to provide dominion over others," she replied, her voice resonant with the force of her conviction. As dawn painted the sky with strokes of pink and gold, the showdown at the entrance to the cave housing the star core reached a fever pitch. Sophia and Arlen faced each other, the tension between them crackling like the charged air before a storm. Behind Sophia, the sounds of battle continued, but here at the precipice it was just the two of them, their wills clashing with the intensity of their ideologies. Arlen, fueled by desperation and a misguided sense of entitlement, launched the first attack. He activated a device that sent a surge of energy hurtling toward Sophia. But she was ready. Her connection to Zira allowed her to sense the energy build up and react in time. She deflected the surge with a wave of her hand, dispersing it into the rock walls, where it left scorch marks but no harm. "Not just your technology, Arlen, but your intentions are predictable," Sophia called out, her voice echoing off the crags. She advanced, her own energy flaring up in brilliant hues. "You seek to dominate, to control, but the true strength of this power is in harmony and balance," Arlen snarled, switching tactics. He drew a compact blaster, firing a series of quick shots. Sophia, moving with the fluid grace that her powers afforded her, twisted and turned, each movement guiding the shots away, embedding them harmlessly into the ground and rocks around them. As she maneuvered, Sophia reached out with her senses, feeling for the core of the planet's energy, which pulsed from the cave behind Arlen. She called to it, her powers resonating with the ancient energies, and the ground beneath Arlen's feet began to tremble. Seeing his position compromised, Arlen took a desperate leap, attempting to bypass Sophia and reach the star core. Sophia anticipated this, her hand sweeping in a wide arc, and a ribbon of earth rose up to block his path, sending him tumbling back towards her. "It doesn't have to end like this, Arlen!" Sophia yelled over the roar of the shifting earth. "We can use the star core to benefit all, not just to serve your fear and greed." Arlen, cornered and realizing the futility of his efforts, made one last gambit. He pulled from his coat a grenade, its design ancient and powerful. "If I can't have it, no one will," he threatened, his finger on the trigger. Sophia's reaction was a mixture of fear and determination. As Arlen threw the grenade towards the cave's entrance, Sophia focused all her energy. Time seemed to slow as she summoned her powers, her connection to Zira deepening in a crucial, defining moment. She created a vortex of wind and energy, capturing the grenade mid-air and hurtling it skyward where it exploded harmlessly, its firework-like blast illuminating the dawn. Arlen, now truly defeated, slumped to his knees, the fight gone out of him. Sophia approached him, her expression not one of triumph, but of solemn responsibility. "This isn't just about winning, Arlen," she said softly, helping him to his feet. "It's about what's right for Zira, for all of us. Let's end this conflict and work together." With Arlen subdued and his followers' morale shattered by the display of her resolve and power, Sophia approached the heart of the cave where the star core awaited. The air inside was charged with a palpable energy, a raw force that seemed to hum with the lifeblood of the planet itself. The star core, a crystalline structure pulsating with light, sat at the center of a natural pedestal, as if it were the beating heart of Zira. Sophia stood before it, awe and reverence in her eyes. She could feel its power, an ancient force that resonated deeply with her own energies. It was clear that the core was not just a tool of power, but a sacred artifact meant to sustain and balance the life force of the entire planet. As she reached out to touch the core, her mind flooded with visions. She saw the ancient civilizations of Zira, the rise and fall of countless generations, and the delicate interplay of cosmic forces that shaped the destiny of worlds. She understood then that the star core was meant to guide and protect, not to dominate. With the core's power now under her guidance, Sophia felt a profound connection to every living thing on Zira. She knew she could restore barren lands, purify waters, and mend the scars left by conflicts past. But more importantly, she could forge a future where such powers were used wisely and justly. Emerging from the cave with the star core securely contained within a field of her energy, Sophia was met with the relief and joy of her companions. Clarks and Vrax, leading the Zarnok and human forces, had managed to quell the remainder of Arlen's rebellion, capturing those who had been misled by his promises of power. With the crisis averted, Sophia addressed the gathered crowd, her voice echoing with the authority of one who had faced the deepest tests and emerged enlightened. "Today we witnessed not just the fall of a warlord, but the rise of a new understanding," she declared. "This power, bound by the wisdom of the ancients, belongs to all of Zira. It will be safeguarded and used for the benefit of every species that calls this planet home." The assembly, a mix of humans and Zarnok, listened intently, their former animosities forgotten in the face of a united future. Sophia proposed the creation of a council, comprising leaders from every faction and species, to oversee the use of the star core and ensure that it served as a beacon of balance and regeneration, not a weapon of war. As plans were made and alliances formalized, Sophia took a moment to reflect on her journey. From a curious tourist to a guardian of an ancient legacy, she had traversed paths she could never have imagined. The challenges she faced had taught her not only about the power she wielded, but about the importance of compassion, understanding, and leadership. In the days following the resolution of the conflict, Sophia's role transitioned from a warrior of peace to a steward of Zira's rejuvenation. Under her guidance and with the unified support of both humans and Zarnok, the star core's energy was harnessed to begin healing the planet's most ravaged landscapes. The first project was the restoration of the scorching plains, where Vrax's faction had once made their stand. Sophia, using the star core, revitalized the soil and replenished the underground water sources, transforming the arid wasteland into a fertile expanse teeming with life. This act of healing served as a powerful symbol of the new era of peace and cooperation on Zira. With the Plains project underway, Sophia convened the newly formed Planetary Council, comprising leaders from every major community and species on Zira. Together, they developed a charter that outlined how the Star Core's powers would be used responsibly. This charter also established protocols for resolving disputes and sharing resources equitably among all Zarnok and human populations. Clarks and Vrax, who had been instrumental in rallying their people during the conflict, became advocates for Sophia's vision. They traveled to different parts of the planet, spreading the message of unity and demonstrating the tangible benefits of the peace Sophia had fought to achieve. Meanwhile, Sophia focused on further understanding the star core and the ancient civilization that had created it. Her studies led her to discover other sites across Zira, each with unique properties that could benefit different aspects of Zarnok and human life. These sites became centers of learning and cultural exchange, fostering a deeper integration of the two previously warring species. As months turned into a year, the changes on Zira were profound. The planet, once marked by divisions and conflict, now thrived as a beacon of cooperation and ecological harmony. Sophia's role evolved naturally into that of a planetary guardian, a position she accepted with humility and determination. Her influence and the success of Zira did not go unnoticed in the wider galaxy. Other planets, grappling with their own conflicts and environmental challenges, sought her advice and assistance. Sophia, together with a delegation from Zira's council, began to work on what would later be known as the Galactic Harmony Initiative. The initiative's goal was to spread the knowledge and principles that had transformed Zira to other worlds. Sophia's message was clear. True power lies not in domination, but in the ability to foster life and peace. Her diplomacy opened new channels of communication across star systems, making Zira a pivotal member of the galactic community. Back on Zira, as Sophia watched the sun set over the lush, vibrant landscape that had once been barren, she felt a deep satisfaction. The journey had been long and fraught with challenges, but the peace that now enveloped her world was a testament to the courage and resilience of those who dared to dream of a better future.